it is on. Conor McGregor against Dustin Poirier. Or should I say Dustin Poirier against Conor McGregor? Because whichever way you want to say it, it's been booked. The fight is happening. It is on. My name is Rahul J-Chand. This is the Battle Camp. Thank you very much for joining me. So, look, it's happening, man. UFC 264 has officially got a main event, and it's Dustin Poirier against Conor McGregor. And we're going back to Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. But we're not going back to the Apex. This fight will be at the T-Mobile Arena, and there will be no restrictions in terms of fans attending the event. 20,000 tickets will be on sale. 20,000 tickets will get sold out. It will be in front of a packed house. And look, man, for me personally, all kind of COVID or political thought processes and all of that stuff, just throw all of that out the window just for a second. Because I tell you what, I miss lying in bed with the UFC on the TV at 4 or 5 in the morning, watching people in the crowd go nuts over a big fight night. I feel like it really adds to the event, especially when it's a big, massive fight. Just the tension, the atmosphere in the room when Bruce Buffer is introducing both fighters and they're steering across the cage from each other, or in boxing, if his brother Michael Buffer is introducing two fighters in a stadium or an arena. I feel like the fans really add to the experience. So I'm looking forward to enjoying this fight with the added, enhanced experience of having a live crowd in attendance. Now, if what went down on social media over the last week is to be believed, this fight nearly never even happened. Do you know what I mean? They went from swapping sauces and liquor to swapping insults on Twitter. I'm not even a rapper, I promise. I know that rhymed, but I'm not a rapper. And like, I, for one, look, for the record, personally, I didn't for 1 second believe that this fight's not going to happen. And what I found really funny is when Conor McGregor tweeted out about, oh, I'll fight someone else, you must be new to money. I don't know what the exact words he used are, but, you know, he basically said he's so upset with Dustin Poirier and his accusations of them going back on a promise or a pledge that they made to donate to Dustin Poirier's charity. Conor McGregor was so upset about it, he said, I'll fight someone else. I don't need to fight you. And just as that happened, man, the reaction of people just makes me laugh, because a portion of people on Twitter, they just took his word for it. So you had Conor McGregor fanboys basically telling us how, yeah, he's right. He's got every right to do that. He's the money fight. He should decide. He's got the power. And then you had kind of people that hate Conor McGregor, who I assume at this point are Khabib fanboys, telling us how much of a chicken Conor McGregor is. And I was just sat there thinking, man, how many times has Conor McGregor said things on Twitter that aren't necessarily true? Things that he necessarily doesn't believe, things that he necessarily doesn't want. He's retired about 17 times on Twitter now, but he's fighting in July. Do you know what I mean? So just relax, take a chill pill. But the worst of the lot are actual lightweights in the UFC, because they almost get this like, I have to tweet something now that Conor McGregor has said he might not fight Dustin. RDA was one of them. RDA went and said, oh, I'll be ready to fight you in July 10th. Let's make it happen, eh? Let's make it happen. Michael Chandler was like, let's go back to back. Like, his name's Drake. He wanted to fight Oliveira and then fight Conor McGregor in July. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, have a bit of self-respect, man. Have a bit of pride. Have a bit of decorum. Relax. If I was Noriega or Nori, I'd say, y'all better relax. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, just chill in it. These fights don't, like, I understand fighters want to get paid, and I understand that Conor McGregor is the biggest payday when it comes to an opponent or a potential opponent in the UFC. But you won't get the fight like this. So just chill, man. Just chill. That's my opinion anyway. But, I mean, like I said, I never for 1 second believed that Conor McGregor was gonna kind of back out of this fight over this whole donation issue, which incidentally, like, none of us know what's gone on between both teams, so just relax in it, stop sharing an opinion about it. My only opinion about this whole situation is that if both teams sat down, it would easily get resolved. I'm pretty sure it's just a misunderstanding that can easily get ironed out. Right, that's just my opinion. I don't necessarily think Conor McGregor's team are trying to back out, and I don't necessarily think that Dustin Poirier's team are going to do something untoward with the money. Do you know what I mean? What I do believe is, I feel like this kind of the dynamic between both of these two guys, Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor, has been bubbling away, and I feel like this donation thing was just a tool that was used for things to bubble over. Effectively, like, I don't really necessarily believe that the relationship was as strong as people thought it was, if that makes sense, between the two of them. It's, even though they were being very cordial and very, very polite before the fight, I'm 100% certain Dustin Poirier had this fucking horrible feeling in the pit of his stomach that this motherfucker knocked me out and I need to get my revenge. And I'm pretty sure Conor McGregor at this moment has that very same feeling in the gut of his stomach. Do you know what I mean? So we are where we are. The fight has been booked. But look, just going back to Conor McGregor kind of pulling this fight away from Dustin Poirier, in theory, on Twitter, I wanted to touch on that a little bit. Because I was watching Morning Combat earlier this week, and Luke Thomas and Rashad Evans were just discussing, I think it was to do with Mike Perry, actually. They were talking about Mike Perry kind of not kind of being the same version he once was. And Rashad Evans kind of shared a lot of insight in terms of his own experience, because he obviously he struggled towards the end of his career, former light heavyweight champion who then kind of went on this losing streak and lost to fighters that he wouldn't have done when he was in his prime. And he spoke about how initially when he was fighting, how fighting was almost like a therapy for him, and it helped him deal with emotional and mental issues that he was struggling with as a I don't know, whether a child, teenager, adolescent, whatever you want to call it, but he was dealing with things that he went through in his life, and the output of that was him being able to be aggressive in the octagon. And as his life progressed and things, you'd assume, got a little bit more comfortable, he found that he just didn't have that competitive edge anymore in the octagon. He didn't have that energy that was in him that he directed as aggression in the octagon. He couldn't call on that anymore to fight, and that is what he attributes his performances to, or lack of performances, when he went on this losing streak. And I'm interested to see whether Conor McGregor is suffering from a similar plight. Because one thing that I will say is, and this isn't just in MMA, this is just across sports in general, I feel like experts, analysts, just normal people like you and I, put too much weight in a fighter or a team's last performance, their last result. Like, people just draw out all sorts of conclusions, using Conor McGregor as an example after he lost to Dustin Poirier. Like, True Geordie was sat there getting purple in the face, talking about how he doesn't have it anymore. He doesn't have it. He doesn't want it. He doesn't have the edge and all of this stuff. And I felt like, well, look, everybody's entitled to have a bad day at the office. And like I always say, nobody is as good as they say they are. Nobody's as good as they say they are, and nobody's as bad as they say you are. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, just as in general, the way people observe things, they just cling to that first initial opinion, that reaction, and that is it. And I feel like it's more grey than that. It's never as black and white as they make out. But going back to Rashad Evans as the example in this, he started having one too many bad days in the office, which is what led him to the conclusion of him just not mentally having the same fire that he once had. And like I say, we've been seeing, and I've been seeing a lot of opinions about Conor McGregor, and about how he just doesn't have it. He's used to the lavish lifestyle. He shouldn't be the one that's calling the shots in his own camp. All sorts of opinions and things of that nature. And for me personally, and even though I've just told you guys I didn't believe that Conor McGregor was going to walk away from this fight, one thing that I personally, my opinion on Conor McGregor is, no matter how flashy he is, no matter how vocal he is, how many different interests he has outside of the sport, all of his business empire, you can actually call it an empire. Like, that's what he's grown with this whiskey company. No matter what's going on outside the octagon, he's always had a competitive edge, and you saw it when he lost to Nate Diaz. And off the back of that defeat, he had to right that wrong, and they had to fight at welterweight, even though Nate Diaz would have at that time preferred to have fought at lightweight, and lightweight would have been would have made more sense for Conor McGregor. But he needed for that fight to be under the same circumstances they were in when he lost, and he had that same sort of reaction after he lost to Dustin Poirier. And if he was willing to walk away from a rematch with Dustin Poirier over this whole kerfuffle around this donation, for me that would have said, well he's lost his edge. He's not the same guy that he once was. Because right now, if he's still an elite fighter, in my opinion, his priority right now should be, I need to get this win, I need to get this fight back, I need to beat Dustin Poirier. And that's what interests me about this fight. I'm looking forward to watching what happens on fight night, watching what version of Conor McGregor turns up, watching how Dustin Poirier deals with whatever version of Conor McGregor stood in front of him, watching how both of them deal with having fans in attendance, watching whether that actually influences your performance in a positive or negative way for both fighters. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is under totally different circumstances, and I'm not obviously making a prediction or anything like that right now, but like, there's a lot going on in terms of both fighters in the lead up to this fight, and I feel like it's got so many like good ingredients to make for a really good event, and I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what you guys think about the stuff that I've said in this video. If you've enjoyed it, like it, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And comment if I didn't mention stuff that you want to talk about. Feel free to comment below, and I will definitely respond if you're not talking absolute shit. Thank you so much for your time. I'll catch you guys on the next one.